He tipped the waitress $5 to test. Her answer made the billionaire rewrite his will. Richard Harmon had spent 40 years building an empire from nothing. He had started with a single hardware store in a small Ohio town and turned it into a billion-dollar real estate and retail conglomerate. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of small moments to change lives, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness True Stories. Also, tell us in the comments where in the world are you watching from. He had hired thousands of people, fired hundreds more, and learned one brutal truth along the way. Character was the rarest currency in the world, and most people revealed their true selves only under pressure. That belief had shaped every decision he made, every person he trusted, and every dollar he spent. At 72, widowed and childless, Richard had begun the slow, painful process of deciding who would inherit his fortune. His lawyers had presented him with a list of distant relatives, loyal executives, and well-known charities. But something felt hollow about all of it. He wanted his money to go somewhere it would mean something. Somewhere it would be used with the same values he had built it upon: honesty, dignity, and quiet strength. So Richard did what he had always done when he needed to understand someone. He created a test. He walked into Miller's Diner on a cold Tuesday morning, dressed in an old flannel shirt and worn boots, looking nothing like the man whose name appeared on 3 downtown towers. He chose a corner booth and waited. The waitress who approached him was a young woman named Sarah, perhaps 28, with tired eyes and steady hands. She greeted him warmly but not excessively, brought his coffee without being asked twice, and checked on him once without hovering. She was efficient, kind, and completely professional. When the bill came to $18, Richard placed a 20 and a 5 on the table, then sat back and watched. Sarah picked up the money, counted it, and looked at him with a small, curious expression. Most waitresses at this point would pocket the $5 tip and say, "Thank you." Instead, Sarah paused and said, "Sir, I think you may have made a mistake. Your bill is $18 and you've left 25. Did you mean to leave a $7 tip, or would you like some change?" Richard studied her face. There was no greed in it, no calculation, no performance for approval. Just a simple, honest question from a woman who assumed the best of a stranger and gave him the chance to correct what she thought might be an error. He told her the $5 was intentional, that it was his tip. Sarah nodded, thanked him genuinely, and turned to leave. Then Richard said, "Can I ask you something? Does a $5 tip on an $18 bill bother you?" Sarah turned back, and without a moment of bitterness or false politeness, she said, "Honestly, I'd be lying if I said tips don't matter. I have a daughter at home and I work 2 jobs. But you were kind, you were patient, and you didn't make my morning harder. That's worth more than the difference between $5 and 10. People give what they can. And I've learned not to measure someone's value by what they leave on a table." Richard felt something shift in his chest. In 40 years of business, he had interviewed executives who could speak for hours about integrity. He had sat across from philanthropists who donated millions and treated their assistants like furniture. He had never heard anyone speak about human worth with such simple, unperformed clarity. He came back the next morning, and the morning after that. Over 3 weeks, he watched Sarah handle a rude customer with grace, comfort a crying elderly man who had spilled his soup, and quietly slip a bread roll into her apron pocket at the end of a shift, not to steal it. He later learned, but to bring it to a homeless man who sat outside the diner every evening. Richard never introduced himself as who he was. He left one morning and did not return. 6 months later, Sarah received a letter from a law firm informing her that a man named Richard Harmon had included her in his will, leaving her a trust of $2 million with a single condition: that she never stop treating people the way she had treated a quiet old man in a flannel shirt on a cold Tuesday morning. Sarah had no memory of anything unusual about that morning. That was exactly the point. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Kindness True Stories, for more powerful stories about real human values, quiet heroes, and the moments that change everything. Your support helps us keep these stories alive.